After 3 decades with one of rock's most legendary bands, Bill Wyman has finally spoken openly about why he left the Rolling Stones. For years, fans speculated on the tensions behind the scenes, but Wyman's recent reflections offer clarity. On stage, he and the other members were a unified force, delivering timeless music to millions. Offstage, however, Wyman experienced a very different reality. In 2024, during the reissue of his memoir Stone Alone, he addressed his complex relationship with Keith Richards, revealing that his departure was not about age or solo ambitions, but deep personal and professional estrangement. Early days in London. Bill Wyman was born on October 24, 1936, in Lewisham, London, to a working-class family. His childhood was marked by war, poverty, and cramped living conditions in Penge, southeast London. Unlike the other Rolling Stones members, who were born in the late 1940s, Wyman had already entered adulthood by the early 1950s. This age gap and life experience set him apart from the younger members when he joined the band. While others were forming tight-knit social circles, Wyman approached the group as a professional musician, bringing technical skills and experience that were immediately recognized, but not always socially accepted. Joining the Rolling Stones. In December 1962, Wyman replaced Dick Taylor and officially joined the Rolling Stones. He brought along his own equipment, including amplifiers and cables, and, most importantly, solid bass skills the band sorely needed. Keith Richards later admitted that Wyman's early performance experience exceeded that of the other members combined. Despite his technical importance, Wyman was seen as an outsider. The band at the time included Mick Jagger, Keith Richards, Brian Jones, and Charlie Watts, all of whom had known each other for years. Wyman's professional focus and maturity set him apart, leaving him essential but socially peripheral. Early band dynamics. Even in the early years, Wyman felt like an outsider. Journal entries from 1962 reveal his sense of detachment. "I feel more like a piece of equipment than a member." He participated in rehearsals, songwriting sessions, and tours, but private conversations and decision-making rarely included him. While professional relationships remained cordial, Wyman was often excluded from the deeper social bonds forming among the other members. This subtle marginalization foreshadowed long-term issues. Despite this, Wyman concentrated on music, contributing to seminal albums like Out of Our Heads, Aftermath, and Between the Buttons, establishing himself as a reliable and innovative bassist. The rise of the Rolling Stones. As the Rolling Stones rose to international fame in the mid-1960s, Wyman's contributions remained musically crucial but socially peripheral. Critics praised his steady, inventive bass lines that anchored the band's evolving sound. Meanwhile, the core songwriting partnership of Jagger and Richards began to dominate credits and decision-making. Wyman was increasingly left out of strategic discussions, despite his role in shaping the music. While he maintained professionalism on stage and in recordings, the internal dynamics created a persistent sense of exclusion, leaving him essential in performance, but invisible in influence. Brian Jones and early tensions. Wyman's closest ally in the band was Brian Jones, with whom he shared a mutual understanding. However, Jones became isolated over time, and his sudden death in 1969 intensified Wyman's marginalization. At the funeral, Wyman notably refused to travel on the band's private jet, a choice that irritated Keith Richards, who interpreted it as a lack of loyalty. From this point, the tension between Wyman and Richards deepened. Wyman remained professional, but the underlying rift grew more pronounced, affecting both studio work and tour dynamics. His role, once integral, felt increasingly diminished in a band now controlled by Jagger and Richards. Creative contributions overlooked. Despite his marginalization, Wyman made important creative contributions. He has claimed to have co-contributed the riff for Jumpin' Jack Flash alongside Brian Jones and Charlie Watts, one of the band's most iconic songs. Yet over time, Wyman's input was minimized or omitted in official credits, with Jagger and Richards positioned as the primary creative forces. These omissions were not just a slight against Wyman personally, but also reflected the broader imbalance of recognition and power within the band. For Wyman, being essential on stage while invisible in the studio created a persistent sense of frustration and invisibility. The personal rift with Keith Richards. The most significant tension was with Keith Richards. While Wyman had spent decades performing alongside him, he acknowledged in 2024 that their relationship was never warm. "We never truly got along. I have no resentment, but I can't keep pretending. We're from different worlds," Wyman stated. Their differences were rooted in personality, background, and approach to music. Richards saw Wyman as an outsider, while Wyman felt continually sidelined. This simmering tension, quiet yet persistent, contributed more to Wyman's departure than age, personal ambition, or a desire for solo work. Life in the band. For over 30 years, Wyman maintained a professional demeanor despite exclusion from key decisions. He was present on albums, tours, and promotional events, always reliable and steady. Yet behind the scenes, he was marginalized, overlooked, and diminished. He described being ignored in informal situations and excluded from credit for his creative ideas. The lack of recognition and influence created a professional imbalance that became increasingly intolerable over time. His quiet perseverance masked deep dissatisfaction, which he only finally articulated decades later. Speaking out after decades. Wyman's 2024 interview marked the first time he addressed these issues publicly in such direct terms. During the reissue of Stone Alone, he explained that he had left because he could no longer tolerate the way Richards treated him. "I didn't leave the band because I was tired of music. I left because I just couldn't take it anymore," he said. This candid statement revealed the true motivation behind his departure. Not frustration with the lifestyle or creative burnout, but ongoing marginalization and exclusion within the band he had helped build. Reflections on the band's history. Wyman has long challenged the narrative presented by Richards and Jagger about the early years of the Rolling Stones. He emphasized that the band was initially a democratic unit led by Brian Jones, contrary to later portrayals that highlighted only Jagger and Richards as the central creative forces. His insistence on this perspective reflects both his integrity and the ongoing tension over recognition and legacy. By speaking out decades later, Wyman reasserts his role in shaping the Stones' music, while addressing the personal dynamics that drove him away, maintaining distance. Even after leaving, Wyman maintained cordial but distant relationships with his former bandmates. He exchanged Christmas gifts with the group, but made it clear that he did not wish to spend extended time with Richards. The professional separation allowed him to preserve his dignity while avoiding conflict. This distance also illustrates the lingering effects of long-term exclusion and personality clashes. Wyman's approach reflects his focus on personal well-being over maintaining appearances or reconciling with someone whose behavior he could not endure. Legacy and perspective. Despite the challenges, Wyman's contributions to the Rolling Stones remain undeniable. His bass work and professionalism provided a solid foundation for the band's most creative periods. By finally speaking candidly, he offers fans insight into the dynamics behind the music, showing that even legendary bands can have complex, sometimes painful interpersonal relationships. Wyman's story is one of resilience, professional dedication, and the quiet assertion of truth, highlighting that talent and contribution do not always guarantee recognition or personal satisfaction. Conclusion. A truth. Long deferred, Bill Wyman's revelation after decades of silence sheds light on the unseen tensions behind one of rock's most iconic bands. His departure was not a dramatic rupture or an act of rebellion, but a necessary step to preserve self-respect in the face of persistent marginalization. By sharing his experience, Wyman provides a nuanced understanding of the Rolling Stones' history, emphasizing both his musical legacy and the personal challenges of navigating fame, creativity, and personality clashes. After 30 years of silence, his voice reminds us that even legends endure human struggles.